One thing that I never did was build a cowl. I was gonna just use the regular cowling and eventually build a custom one. So there is somebody on YouTube who's got a blue one of these, who's got a really cool cowling, and I don't want to copy it. I want to make something similar on my own. Now these pieces here, I've taken the liberty to cut brand new top pieces. I didn't want to mess up my originals. My originals are right here. I think it's this one and this one. So I can still use these if necessary. I just got some really thin, big sheets of 16th inch ply, and that's what I'm making it out of, using my brand new Harbor Freight bandsaw. It's freaking awesome. Awesome for this stuff. Little drill press too. So got a little Black Friday stuff going on. So what we're doing, this is basically the very beginning stages of the cowl, and we'll cut back in later towards the end of the video and I'll show you what the finished product is. But on this is day one. What I've done so far is cut a duplicate piece here. So this was basically just a traced out piece of the front one and a traced out piece of the back one. And we connected the two together in the middle with this little bridge piece with some Type Bond 3. Now that was about 12 hours ago, and now they're fully cured and they're together. One thing I noticed, I've got a slight little, I don't know, like concave or convexed corner right on the front. There's nothing I can really do about that because the wood's so you know, thin, but basically it's a slight bubble effect right here. Nothing that tape won't fix. I'm just being a little anal about it. But so this piece is going to go here. What I've seen and what I did on the shrimp rigger is we did some angled pieces. We come up and then we do a long tier back down, and that was cool. But I thought it would be really neat if we tried to take this angle and continue it on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to build kind of a bubble hatch that comes up with a similar angle, continues up, and then tapers back down. That's my game plan. So what I did, I took the overall width of the boat and I shrunk it by about 1/2 inch. That's going to give me 1/4 inch of flat on each side that I can use my tape. And what I'm doing here, this is the full length, and I wet it, and then we're building the curve into it. So that's what we're doing. We're going to have a flat spot on the front. I've got about 3/4 inch under the battery, and then this marks the motor at the highest point, and I put this mark here and I consider it center. The reason why is because I have a 4074 motor on it right now. I might end up running a 4092. So I need to have my center a little bit further forward to where if I run a bigger motor, a longer motor, that this hatch will cover it. So we're going to have a nice sleek design. Now the way it looks here won't be the finished product. Once we take the weight off of it, and being that it's wet, once it dries completely out, it'll kind of like spring down a little bit. So I've got it a little bit more aggressive right now, and then the final product, it will be a little bit more subtle. And all we're going to do, once it's subtle, we're going to rivet it or screw it or glue it to the top hatch, and then we're going to fill this portion here with more of the plywood. Basically all I'm going to do, I'm going to lay it on it, put the plywood on it, I'll trace it out, and then I'll cut it out on the bandsaw and we'll glue it to the inside of it, and we'll just have vertical sides rather than angled sides, and it should do pretty well. So this is the beginning stage. We'll see what it turns out to look like. Now it has been 2 days. We just got hit with that cold snap and all that snow here on the East Coast. I'm going to go ahead and pull off the weight. Pull off my go-kart tire roller here. This should be our conformed piece of our cowl, which looks cool. Kind of looks like a race car windshield. This is going to sit right here like so. And now what I've got to do is work on some sides. Look how slick that looks. That's going to turn out awesome. I'll try and get this to come back to maybe, I don't know, I might have to just run it all the way up front. But I would like to keep a similar gap to the sides as to the front. And I don't know if I want to put rivets on it just to make it look cool or just do glue. But we'll glue it in the back about to, I don't know, probably about to that point right here. So we'll glue about 7 or 8 inches out back. And then I have got to tape it down and then put the sides on it and then go inside and trace the sides out to where then I can cut those out. So that's what I'm going to be working on next, is cutting the sides out of this to where when we glue it, we can glue the sides onto it and then to the bottom, make it all one piece. So hopefully it'll turn out cool. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. If you haven't got to the end of the video, let me know what you think here, and then comment again at the end of the video and see how it turns out. This is how we've got it going. So we've got the bottom kind of just temporarily clamped to the top, and I have to cut out this in between piece, which is what I have here in my hand now. So this is going to be the left bottom side. I've yet to see if it fits. This is my first initial cut, and it seems pretty damn close in my opinion. Got a little bit of a gap back there, but I can always squeeze it a little bit further and do all right. The problem was I couldn't get my pencil in there, so I don't think it'll matter. I can slide it back a little, but other than that, it did conform. See, it's even holding itself in place there. So all I gotta do is come back here and clamp this a little bit more. Right now it won't let me do it because it'll be squeezing it. But yeah, that seems all right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move the clamps, make sure that it will settle to that point. If I can get it to conform to that point, then great. That's what we'll do. I'll make a duplicate of this for the right side. And if it won't, then I see what I need to add on my next piece, because there's no way I can get in there with a pencil and mark that. So I thought about just setting it up here on this side and then marking it from the back, but you know, I felt like there was additional stuff there, which I still may end up doing that if this won't work. But first piece out. Been about, I don't know, 30 minutes. I got both pieces cut out and we are gluing them right now with some medium CA glue. Got the right on the right and the left on the left. I tried to line them up best I could. We won't know until we get, you know, the final product done. But this thin plywood is really tough because it tries to have waves in it, you know. So I tried to bend the waves out, and so far I think it's looking pretty good. I'll have to push the nose over, which I haven't glued the nose, and that one also is going to have to go over. I just glued the center line. So right here was my center line mark, and I'm slightly off on that one, only about 1/8 of an inch. Shouldn't really matter in you know, in the long term things, but I'm still got to do some CA glue back here. But I got to do each point because it's got a curve, so when you apply pressure to one side, it tries lifting up the other side. So the first thing I'm going to do is we'll CA glue. We've got it CA glued up to the pencil mark. Next, I'm going to run a bead in here and over there, lift it up, allow the CA to go under it, and then I'm going to clamp it down and just hold it. I kind of just hold my hand on it for 4 or 5 minutes. And then once this is all set, then I can come back over here to the front and do the same in the front. I may actually reinforce this with another bead of wood, just kind of like an angular support, just to prevent it from breaking off. I've got really thin pieces that I might lay in the corner and glue them in. I may use the Tight Bond 3 wood glue to glue that in. That way I've got CA glue holding down the thin pencil seam, and then in the corner we'll do some wood glue. But we'll see how it goes. We got it all done, folks. So that is the underbelly. I put a little additional support there and on the upper side too. And right now I'm just gluing the front. So I've got the tail of it all glued, and we're clamping the portion here and on the nose. I'll let it sit for about another 15 minutes and it should all be dry. It'll look really cool when we're all done. I was really thinking, like, I know this is kind of crazy, but it looks to me kind of like a car, like a dragster now. It would be badass to put a wing back here. I just thought, I thought it would look cool to have a wing on it, but I don't know. I'm debating on coloring it purple because I feel like if I prime it and paint it purple, when I go to rip the tape off, I have a real strange feeling that it's gonna just destroy the paint. It'll rip it right off the wood. So I can do two things. I can stain it dark and like sand it and stain it dark because all of my like smudgy fingerprints, or I could paint just this cowling purple and not paint this portion purple. And then, because this is the only piece here that's going to have tape on it. So I was thinking I could do some dark walnut stain on this, and that would kind of waterproof it. And then once that's all, you know, dried and whatnot, then I can glue the purple top piece onto this piece. That's really what I'm thinking. But I'm going to eyeball it, see which direction I want to go. But so far, so good. Let's go ahead and take this top piece here. I'll bring it over here. I'll show you what we've come up with. It's starting to look really pretty, y'all. So this is the cowling. Isn't that gorgeous? Tapered it down a little bit. Got it smooth, rolled the edges over. Now I hope that this centerpiece will fit in between. Let's see here. So that's going to be like so, and then yeah. I tried to make it to where it was just smidge smaller. It looks like we're good. Okay, we'll butt that up to the line. We'll come back here, make sure that's lined up. Good deal. You can tell, see how it's got a little gap? Okay, so it's not too bad. All we have to do is put downward pressure on it. Awesome, look at that, it's sealed right up. That is spectacular. Got a little gap there. It's sealed up perfectly. That's gonna be dope. Now the little gap right there in the middle won't matter because that's the seam of the boat separating the front and the rear hatch. And it gives me just enough lip here for my tape. So that'll be cool. Very excited about that. I think it looks good. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and finish some sanding, and then we'll start the prep work to see what we want to do as far as paint. Either stain or paint. Top piece is all complete. Give you a look at it there. It looks gorgeous. And now I'm about to hit it with this purple. Same thing we painted the boat in. And the other piece has been stained. So once this purple dries, then we'll glue it on. Well, we've reached the end of day 2 of this process. I'm going to give you a look at the boat. And we'll come over here. And we'll take a look at the finished product of the cowl. So this is the purple in the paint. Turn some light on. There we go. Isn't that gorgeous? Absolutely stunning. Beautiful, isn't it? And then over here, I'll show you. I've been getting into go-kart racing lately, so if y'all want to see some go-kart content, let me know. I've got so much crap on go-karts. That's why I've kind of like stepped away from the boats during the wintertime. Everything's been frozen. So this is the piece that I did with the dark walnut stain just to waterproof it. Looks pretty good. That'll be the underbelly. And then most of this right here is going to get covered with the cowl. So this will be the front, and then it'll go here. But right now it's still kind of wet, so just gotta let it dry before we can glue it on, and we still gotta let the paint dry. That'll be the next step. It's now day 3, and I got the top cowling for the canopy finished. Isn't she gorgeous, y'all? Absolutely stunning. So we got this piece all coated in black walnut or dark walnut, and then I'm just gonna, for now, I'm gonna attempt to glue this on and see if it holds. I know that dark walnut stain is an oil, and I tried to wipe it down with paper towel, and like any excess, I got a little bit of stuff off of it that kind of just went onto the paper towel. I think the wood glue would hold. I don't know. If it doesn't hold and it tears up, then I'll just use, you know, super glue. But right now, what we got to do, because see, we got that, still got the gap, okay? We have to put pressure on it in order to hold it down. So we'll put pressure on the front and we'll put pressure on the rear, and that should be enough. Then any little gap, like there'll be a teeny tiny little gap right there. See that tiny little gap? I'll go on the inside and I'll pour some epoxy into that little gap. And I shouldn't have to worry about the rear gap, because that's going to all be sealed. Only the front's going to have a hole underneath it for the motor. So we'll see. We'll see. I think it looks sick. All right, well, here's the finished product. The cowling is all finished. It makes the boat look sick looking. Isn't that cool? Very happy with it. Absolutely love it. Very sleek looking. Fucking A. Yeah, that's dope. It'd be cool to have a little wing back here. But not really necessary. But let me know what you think of the final product. She looks gorgeous. I tried to get the same swoop on the nose as I did on that cowling. I think I hit it nail on the head.